Your life at every level of wealth. Tonight you are sleeping under an overpass. 40 years from now, you will own the building above it. Most people think the difference between those two lives is hard work. It isn't, it's levels. This is what every level of wealth actually looks like from the inside. Level 1, homeless. Your whole world is 12 square feet. The spot you found under the overpass that stays dry when it rains. You got here before the other guy. That matters. Everything is about what you got here before. The food line at the shelter opens at 6 a.m. If you're not there by 5:45, you might not eat today. You already know this. You are already up. The cold woke you at 4. Your shoes are wet from yesterday. Wet shoes are an infection risk. Infection without insurance is a hospital bill that follows you for years if you ever get an address again. You know things now that people with roofs do not know. Which shelters do bed checks? Which ones let you stay past 7 a.m.? Which churches leave the side door unlocked? Which neighborhoods have the cops that move you along, and which ones have the ones who don't? This is your education now. It is specific, and it is brutal, and it is the most useful thing you have. Level 2, low income. You have a job. It is not a good job. It is a job, 31 hours a week so they don't have to give you benefits. $11.50 an hour. $1,426 a month before taxes. $1,180 after. You found a room in a house with 4 other people. $550 a month. That leaves $630 for everything else. Food, bus pass, the phone you need to keep the job. There is no margin. You know this with the precision of someone who has done the math 60 times. There is no version of this budget that has anything left over. This is where most people get stuck, not because they're lazy, because the math is designed this way. You are not broke anymore. You are one missed shift from broke. You keep the job. You do not miss shifts. You are the most reliable person at that job, not because you love it, because you remember the overpass. Almost nobody talks about what comes next. Level 3, paycheck to paycheck. 2 years later. Better job. $19 an hour. You have your own place now. A studio. $875 a month. You have a bed. A real one. Not a cot. Not a mat. A bed you picked out. You lie in it sometimes and just feel the fact of it. The ceiling above you. The door that locks. The address that is yours. People who have never lost these things do not understand what they are. You do. But the math still doesn't work the way you want it to. Every month you almost save something. Then the car needs something. Or the tooth that's been hurting finally can't be ignored. You put it on the card. The card has 19% interest. You are building a life. You are also building debt. Both are true. Nobody tells you these two things can happen at the same time. Level 4, stable life. It took longer than you thought. It always does. But the bills are paid. The card is paid down. There is a small cushion, 2 months of expenses in a savings account you try not to touch. This is the part everyone thinks is the finish line. It isn't. Stable means one bad month erases 5 years of progress. The mortgage requires your income to exist. The job provides the income. The job can end. You don't think about this during the day. You think about it. At 2 a.m. nobody tells you this part. This is what stable actually feels like from the inside. Stable is not safe. Stable is the place where you can see safety from but cannot quite reach it. This is where most people stop climbing, not by choice. Level 5, middle class. You own a home. You cannot believe you own a home. You think about the overpass sometimes when you cut the grass. You think, look at this, look at what you did. The mortgage is $1,640 a month. The property taxes, the insurance, the maintenance that nobody tells you about before you buy, the furnace, the roof, the water heater, all with their own timelines and their own bills. Your household income is $94,000 a year. You are doing well. You are also leveraged in ways that took you time to understand. The house requires your income to exist. The job provides the income. The job can end. You don't think about this during the day. You think about it at 2 a.m. Sometimes you lie awake and calculate how many months you could survive if the income stopped. 4 months, maybe 5 if you cut everything. Then the house is gone. You remember what gone feels like. That memory is your 2 a.m. companion. You will not let it happen again. But you also know the difference between will not and cannot. Level 6, upper middle class. $180,000 a year. You can absorb a bad month now. The emergency fund is real. 6 months of expenses. The cars are new. The kids are in good schools. The vacations get posted. From the outside, this is the dream. You remember when this was the dream. Standing here inside it, you notice something. You can see the level above you now. The people who don't think about the car repair at all. The people whose kids' college is already funded. The people who talk about their financial advisor the way you talk about your mechanic. You are working harder than anyone you know. You are not catching up to them. The distance between you and the level above is not effort. You have effort. It is capital. They have capital. Capital compounds. Effort doesn't. This is the part nobody explains when they tell you to work hard. You are learning this late. And this is where the rules change completely. Level 7 millionaire. Net worth $3 million. You did it. By any reasonable measure, you did it. This is more money than your parents saw in their combined lifetimes. This is more money than anyone from your neighborhood growing up ever had. You remember the overpass. You remember the wet shoes. You look at your accounts and you feel something you did not expect. Fear. Not the old fear, the fear of not having enough. A new fear, the fear of losing this. It is more acute than the old fear, more specific. You find yourself reading about inflation, about market crashes, about what happened to people in 2008. You find yourself calculating, if the market dropped 40%, what would you have? You find yourself trusting less, the friend who asks a favor, the family member who wants to know how you're doing financially. You catch yourself. You don't like what you catch. You remember the people who helped you when you had nothing. You are not that person anymore. You are trying to figure out why. This is what $1 million actually feels like from the inside. Level 8 rich, $10 million. You have crossed a line that is hard to explain to people who haven't crossed it. The money is working now. You are not working for the money anymore. The money is working for you. You have a financial advisor. You have an accountant. You have a lawyer. You have people who manage your money. Things start making sense in a way they didn't before, not because the world changed. Because you finally have enough money to see how it works, why certain neighborhoods are what they are, why certain schools produce certain outcomes, why the system is shaped the way it is. You used to think the system was unfair. Now you understand it. Understanding it makes it a lot easier to live with. From the outside, you look like someone who made it. From the inside, you are learning that making it is not a destination. It is an address. And the neighborhood has its own rules. Level 9, the inner circle. You are in rooms now where decisions get made before the meeting, where the real conversation happened at dinner 2 nights ago, where who you know is not networking, it is infrastructure. These people do not hustle, they do not grind, they allocate, they call, they introduce. The system that everyone below this level is trying to navigate, the tax code, the regulatory environment, the political process, is something the people in this circle help design. Not through corruption necessarily, through access. Access to the people who write the rules. Access to the structures, the trusts, the holding companies, the foundations that exist specifically for capital at this level. You are beginning to understand something that changes how you see everything below you. The game you were playing before was a different game than the game these people play. You were competing inside a system. They were building the system. You climbed a ladder they constructed. This is what power actually looks like from the inside. Level 10 billionaire. Your net worth crossed $1 billion. There was no moment, no bell, no feeling of arrival. A number on a screen changed. That was it. You own companies now, not stock companies. The people who work at those companies don't know your name. You don't know theirs, but their wages, their benefits, their working conditions, those are line items and decisions that cross your desk. You have a foundation. It does more money in grants per year than the GDP of some countries. You decide which problems are worth solving, not because anyone elected you, because you have the capital and the capital makes the decision. Politicians call you. Not the other way around. You do not think of yourself as powerful. You think of yourself as responsible. Someone has to make these decisions. You have decided it might as well be someone who started with nothing. Someone who knows what the bottom looks like. You think about the overpass sometimes. You think, look at how far. What you do not think about, what is very difficult to think about from here, is how many people are still on the overpass. And what role the system you are now part of building plays in keeping them there. Cold pattern reveal. You made it. You actually made it. From concrete to $1 billion. That is a real thing that happened. Hold it. Now look at what it took. Every level had a fear. Level 1, tonight. Level 5, 4 months. Level 7, losing it. Level 10, the fear is gone. Not because you solved it, because you are now so far inside the system that the system protects you. The tax structures, the legal frameworks, the political access, the compounding capital. These are not rewards for climbing. These are the architecture of a system that gets easier the higher you go, and harder the lower you stay. You started on concrete, and you clawed your way up every level through will and work and survival intelligence that most people at the top have never needed. That is true, also true. The system you climbed was not built for people like you to reach the top. Your success is real. It is also rare. For every person who makes it from the overpass to the boardroom, there are 10,000 who make it to level 3 and stay there. Not because they didn't work, Not because they didn't want it, because the distance between level 3 and level 4 is not effort. It is luck. It is access. It is a door that opens for some people and not others, and the difference is not always visible from the outside. You made it, the system didn't break. It just made room for one more person at the top. The overpass is still there. Someone is sleeping on it tonight, and they think the climb works the way you thought it did, getting there before the other guy. Knowing which shelter leaves the door unlocked, doing the math that never works out, waiting for the thing that finally opens the door, the same way you were, a long time ago, before you forgot what it felt like to be that cold.